Hey everybody, Jared over here at Gen 5 DIY, and today I'm working on our 2019 Silverado Custom Trail Boss, and we are going to add in the live rear view mirror to this truck. So as you can see right now, it just has the base model mirror in it, and we're going to upgrade it. And we've got the components back here. Let's take a look. Okay, upgrading the camera system, you're going to get a couple parts from us. You're going to get the new mirror assembly right here. You're going to get the power harness, got the camera cable that'll connect between the camera and the mirror assembly, and then it's a new third brake light assembly. You do get the whole thing. So in order to do this, we do have to drop the existing rear spoiler assembly off the car, and we'll show you how to do that. All right, we're going to take off the overhead console. This is going to allow us to run the camera cable through the easiest way. On the side of the console, you're going to see there's like a little piece of trim right there that will pry off. Sometimes it's a little stubborn. Then up in this hole right here, I'm not going to be able to show it really on the video. It's pretty far up there. There is a T10 Torx headed screw. There's one on each side. So we're going to pull those screws out. All right, come on, good camera. Okay, now that those are out, then two screws you literally just pull down. Now you can just kind of hide that out of the way. Now, when that's out of the way, we'll have access to bring our camera cable forward. We're gonna get the mirror assembly off, the stock one. So there's a little center panel in there that pops right off. And then you're gonna have another piece of plastic trim that fits around the outside of the mirror that just kind of squeeze to the side, and then it comes off. Some of your trucks, depending on the options you had, this truck is a manual dim mirror, so there are no wires going to this mirror whatsoever. Some of the other models will have a connector there if you have auto dimming, and that'll just look a little different. You just have to unplug it, but you can take the old mirror off. That should be a T20 Torx. All right, set that to the side. You can slide your new mirror on. Snug that back up, and now you guys will see there's a new connection on the side of the mirror over here. Okay, we do also have to take off the dome light assembly. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to pull straight down, and then it's going to come to a certain spot where it stops, and there's these little retainer clips here that we're going to depress using a plastic trim tool, and once those are off, we'll be able to pull it completely down. Very little tough. Now there's the harness, they don't give you a lot of wiggle room here. Basically the release for it is this little, there you have that, and then you pull on it and out she comes. And then of course when it's time to put it back together, just rinse and repeat. All right, once that dome light assembly is down, chances are the metal clips probably stayed in the roof. If they didn't, golden, don't worry about it. Like on ours here, we got one off, one came with it, we scored, the other stayed up in the roof. We're gonna wanna remove this clip and put it onto the lamp assembly. So easiest way is just use a little tool, get in on both sides. Just kind of work it, be patient, and then we can just put it right back onto the lamp assembly on there. So when we're ready to put it back in, it'll slide right in with no problems. All right, now we can remove the center piece of trim. Up in the top hole there's going to be a 7mm head screw, which we'll need to pull out. Pull the two caps off here on the side, and those will be two 10mm bolts that have to come out. All right, now we can pull that the 7mm screw from on top. So that's off, then we got the two 10s. Okay, and then the center piece for the seatbelt trim, you don't even have to pop it off, it'll just come right down. Pull that down out of your way, and when it's time to put it back together, it'll be just the complete opposite. All right, next step is we got to take out the coat hook. What you do here, up on top, just pull it away, and then it hinges down, and under there'll be an 8mm screw. Get that out, and then it's still held in with a little clip. So just give it a tuck, and out it comes. Next will be the rear trim back here, where the seatbelt goes through. This literally just pulls right off, and then there's just a couple clips that hold this piece in. Just pull it out. Okay, the airbag's behind it. It's not attached to this panel, so don't worry about that. Now, what you see up here is there's a 7mm headed screw right there that's on a tether. What I did is just remove that screw. Just finish pulling that screw all the way out, and then what will happen is you should be able to pull down on the retainer. It'll come out, and then you can get the quarter trim out of the way. Next step will be to release the retainers along the back side of the headliner assembly. All right, last step in dropping the headliner. You can't see these retainers, but you'll be able to tell where the headliner gets real tight. Like there's a retainer clip up there. You just kind of have to work around and get your hand up there and just give it a gentle pull down. And then once that is down, the headliner will fall down. All right, the headliner is lowered. Now with it down, we have access to get the rear spoiler assembly off. So there is a total of 4 nuts and 2 bolts and 1 retainer clip per side that hold this thing on. So hopefully you can see this okay. More toward the center of the truck, there is a bolt, a nut there, and then as we work our way out, you'll be able to see the other ones real simple. Now, there's retainer clip on each side, and hopefully this will show it. I'm going to highlight it when it's out of what the retainer clip looks like. You're going to have to use a pair of like 45-degree pliers, and you depress the side tabs, and once you do, that retainer will pop out. And then we're also going to have the 2 bolts here on the outside. You can go ahead and remove all the bolts, all the nuts, and the spoiler's not going to fall off. And this is where you're going to want to have a helper help you release, have him or her be on the roof up there holding it, and then you can work that release clip with the pliers and it'll pop out, and we'll show you how it comes out. Oh, the other thing too is we're going to want to disconnect the harness right here that feeds the brake light assembly. Disconnect that, and then it'll pull out with it. All right, now it's time to pull the rear spoiler off. We got everything loose. You can just lift her right out, and then you'll see the harness coming out of the truck. We just have to disconnect right there at the brake lamp assembly, release the red tab, pull, remove, set that down, and let's transfer, put the new camera in. All right, now we got it laying out. Just put a towel down so you don't scratch it. So you see we got the new brake light assembly here. The only difference between it, obviously there's the camera cable coming out of the new, but the connections are the same. There is 4 Torx bits. They should be a T25. There's one here, 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 and here. Once those are off, it looks like we just depress these tabs and the lamp assembly will come off. So let's do that. All right, 4 screws are out. That should just be a matter of pushing those tabs, and just like that, comes right out. All right, then with it out, we just put in the new one in the reverse order. Just guide the camera wire through. I'll just snap it in. Tighten up those 4 Torx, and you'll be good to go. But before we put the new one on, we're gonna clean up the back area here. There was no silicone per se or anything around any of the holes, or real seals for that matter, but just for peace of mind, I'm gonna put a dab of silicone around each hole, and just to give us an extra bit of security there. So I'll show you that when it's all done. All right, the new camera cable has to be run in. That's going to be the only new wire. So the best spot to do that's going to be through this existing grommet. So just pull this out, and the whole harness will come out. Now you see the boot right here, it's sealed. I've already removed the electrical tape from it. So with that removed, we can fish the cable and through there and make the connection. We'll show you how that looks here after we run it through. Okay, so what we did is we're actually gonna fish the new camera cable through the boot. So this is the end that's gonna mate up with the camera. So what we did is we fished, this is the end with the mirror, We fished it through the boot right here, and then see how it came through. And we fished it to about just a little bit less than the original connector length, because you still have the end of the camera sticking out. And then what we'll do is we just tape this up really nice again, and it'll still be sealed as it was when it was new. All right, it's all taped back up. Looks good. Now let's just fish it. Let's fish it back through the hole that was already there. Push the original plug back in there, and
head inside and pull.
All right, then push the grommet in. Sealed up real good. Now we'll be ready to stick that back on. I got the silicone all on there, like I mentioned earlier, just around all the holes. Let's set that on. Now there's the retainer clips, and I wanted to show you actually while this was out, because you're gonna, when you had to pull the spoiler off, see we had to squeeze those retainer clips. After all the bolts are out and the nuts are out, that's all that's really holding it in. So we set that in, and it'll snap on. Make sure and connect the camera. Make sure that's tight, and then you can plug your original connection back in. Push that safety lock back down, and then tuck it up like it was. And you just hear a little bit of a click. That's it for out here. Now we can go inside and tighten all the bolts down. Okay, so now we're putting it back in. Now we just have to repeat where we were before with when we removed those bolts and the 4 nuts. So let's get the 4 nuts put back on. You can see the stud sticking through and the 2 bolts on the outside. And we rinse and repeat for the other side, and we just snug those down, and then it's installed. Okay, I got all the bolts are in on all the sides. You got the 4 bolts, I'm sorry, the 4 nuts, and then the 2 bolts up there in the corner. Reconnect our connection here. And now the camera cable, which you see, how I'd like to see it routed is, see it's coming through with our original harness here, is we're just gonna run it right across the center. Now, and this is why we took, part of the reason we took the overhead console out earlier. You can literally just fish it down the middle of it, and here's the camera cable, and it'll come out. You can literally just fish it through the little hole that is up there already, and it'll plug right in to the camera cable, and it's all connected. All right, it's time to install the power harness, which is the mirror harness. On these trucks, what we need to do is there's going to be, the harness is going to have a fuse connection on the other end that we have to run over to the passenger side fuse block. And then also coming off the harness, there's going to be a lead that's going to run over to the driver's side to the body control module. So unfortunately, we do have to split the harness both ways. That's just the way the trucks were designed, and the only way that we could find a workaround around this. So what I like to do is I'll take the mirror harness, and just for right now, you can see there's a hole up there. What I do is I just stick that in there for now, and then I just pull up a little bit of slack. We don't need a lot. And then from that point, then I can start to route my power cable all the way along the windshield. So what I do, and this is going to be the one with the fuse, what I'll do is I'll just tuck it in the edge of the headliner. You don't have to pull any panels out, and then I like to sneak it around the edge here and then down, and I'll show you how that's done. All right, now we're going to run that wire across top of the headliner. So I still have it hanging here. What I do is you just kind of tuck it under there, and you can use a plastic trim tool to assist you. When you get over here to the corner, what I do is I just push it in. As you can see, I already started, and I'll just work it right into this little gap right there. And then I'm just going to route it right down the molding here, and then through the side. And then we'll make the connection at the fuse block. I'll show you how that all looks after I route it through there. All right, it's all routed through. See, it's all hidden. Can't see any of it. And then it's down here. And then we're just gonna drop it down into the fuse block area here, where we're gonna make our connection at the fuse block. All right, we got the fuse assembly down over here to the passenger side fuse block. area. Now what we're going to have to do is we need to ground it, which is this ring terminal, and then we're also going to put a fuse in. So let's start with the ground wire. We're going to use the bolt that's right here. To access it, we have to pull this off. While you're doing this, just make sure the key's off. Don't want to set any codes. To release this one, slide the red tab up, and then you just push on this little blue button or blue tab, lock will pop up, and that's out of your way. Once that's off, we can remove this bolt, which is a 10mm headed bolt. It's a long bolt, so let's pull that out, and then we're going to put the ground wire onto it and snug that back up. All right, you see that is a pretty long bolt there, so just take that, put it through your ground like so, and then stick that back in, and snug that bolt up tight, and the ground connection will be done. Okay, now for the fuse connection, you're going to see that our fuse assembly comes with one fuse installed. Now this is an add a fuse assembly, so we're not stealing power. Let me rephrase that. The current load isn't going to be on the original circuit. This additional fuse is going to have the amperage draw on it for the camera. So in the side fuse block, you want to locate fuse number 23. So pull that out. Now put the removed fuse into our fuse assembly. So that now our fuse assembly has two fuses in it. Make sure they're seated tight. Then put that back into the 23 spot and slide that back. Then you can put your blue harness connection back on. Just slide that in. Push it in. Once it gets pushed in, the white lever will release. If you don't have it all the way in, it won't. So once it's in, snap it down. You'll hear it click. Slide the red tab down. It's locked. Now that's the power connection.
Okay, when we connect the power, at the mirror, what we're going to do is we just realize that the trim is actually different, and we want to try to utilize what you have, so you don't have to. We don't have to need a new piece of trim. So what we can do is we can just pull the actual harness that's on the mirror, just pull it off of the bracket, and then we're going to route it up, and we're going to plug it up that way, and we'll pull the excess of slack up into the overhead assembly, like so. And once it's routed like that, we can be able to put on our stock trim.
All right, and the moment of truth. We got everything's connected. Start the car. Now with these mirrors, with the flip lever right here away from you, that is a normal mirror. Now here's the moment of truth. Flip the lever forward, and bam, we have a rear image. Now it's time to run the final wires. We need to run that one wire over to the body control module. So basically just how we did the passenger side routing around the headliner, we're going to do the exact same thing along this side and down to the BCM, and then I'll show you how to make that connection. Okay, last connection we have to make is at the body control module. That's where the single spaded lead is going to go. What we're going to do is we want to find the brown connector in the body control module. Now the body control module is located under the dash as well, just to the left of the brake pedal, and up there you'll see a series of plugs on there: white, green, blue, black, brown, pink, gray. We're working with the brown one. Unplug that and get it down here. Now what we're doing is we need to put a T-tap around the blue with the brown stripe wire, which if we're looking at it from the back side with the tab up, it's going to be the lower right hand wire. Now I'll put a T-tap on there and I'll show you how that looks. All right, now we got the T-tap put around that wire. So basically that's on there, and now our spaded wire right here just slides right onto the T-tap. Now before you start, make sure that the spade itself is centered, because believe it or not, it can go into the T-tap and the spade will actually go to the side of it. So you want to make sure that goes in. Push it on, and all the wiring's complete. Now it's just time to roll up any extra wire you have. Just hide it on the side over here, and we're going to put the mirror cover on.
All right, so with doing it that way, we're able to use the existing trim. So what the trim does is you want to slide it up from the bottom, and then there's on the side of the plastic, there's like 2 round retainers, and those will go into the holes in the metal frame that stays with the windshield assembly. Put that on, then put your centerpiece back on. Beautiful.